I almost said good morning. It's not morning. So, good evening. Welcome to the June 27th meeting of the MCCSC Board of School Trustees. We ask that you please come to order. We will begin tonight with public comments, and we only have one. We'll be hearing from Jenny Noble-Kuchera.
Good evening, Dr. Winston and President Hennessy and other board members and administrators. My purpose tonight in speaking is twofold. The first is to say that I hope our larger school community is staying as safe as possible with the post-storm conditions. I know we're all very aware of that, and everyone is working hard for those around us. I also wanted to say thank you for welcoming me in my new role as the Monroe County Education Association president. I hope to do my best to serve as the advocate and representative of our teachers in this district. I'm also speaking about the board policy concerning wireless communication devices. I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to Alexis Harmon for including voice of the local teachers union in that policy's wording and implementation. It's a tough road that she and her team have had to dig into, and there are a lot of nuances and details as it continues to be put forth to everyone here and be implemented potentially. I just look forward to continued discussion and collaboration with all of the returning and newly appointed administrators. So kudos to everyone who has been working on that policy, and I hope everyone stays safe. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenny, and congrats on your role. As a reminder, oh no, we don't read that part tonight. So on to our consent agenda. This includes the following minutes from the regular board meeting held on May 21, 2024, overnight and out-of-state field trips, financial report from May 2024, the appropriation balance report from May 2024, the register of claims from June 25th, 2024, payroll register and payroll claims May 2024, request to declare surplus and to authorize disposal of out-of-date items. Do I have a motion regarding the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Ashley Perani and seconded by Aaron Wyatt that we approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Can't turn the page tonight. It's a summer board meeting, you know how it goes. Next for our consideration are the donations. We've received donations of over $6,000. Thank you to all of our donors. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. Do I have a motion to accept the donations?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, great. It's been moved by Kathy and seconded by Ashley that we accept the donations as presented. All those in favor of the motion to approve the donations say aye.
Aye.
Any no? Abstentions? The motion passed. This is old business policy 5136, wireless communication devices, and it's presented for its second and final reading. Do I have a motion to adopt this policy as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Ashley, seconded by Kathy, that we adopt policy 5136 as presented. Ms. Harmon.
Thank you, President Hennessy, Dr. Winston, and members of the Board of School Trustees. I would like to recommend the Board of School Trustees adopt Policy 5136, Wireless Communication Devices. I presented these changes for the first reading at the May 21 meeting of the Board. The changes comply with Indiana's Senate Enrolled Act 185. All prior policies relating to Policy 5136 are hereby rescinded, deemed null and void, and replaced by the policies adopted on this day, June 27th, 2024. I so recommend.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Okay. All those in favor of the motion to adopt policy 5136, wireless communication devices as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is now the time set aside for the monthly reporting on Resolution 2024-07, Consolidation of Childs in Templeton Elementary Schools. Do I have a motion to approve the recommendation from monthly reporting on Resolution 2024-07, Consolidation of Childs in Templeton Elementary Schools as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Ashley and seconded by Brandon that we approve the recommendation of monthly reporting as presented by board member Sure.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things. Obviously, folks can read along, but these updates will just include status updates on discussions with stakeholders, including Monroe County Education Association, teachers, staff, families, and community members. Also, they will include progress towards creating a final plan for the merger to be completed by December 31st, and include consideration for the grade span configurations. And they also will include any formal recommendations made by the superintendent regarding the merger plan. So I think this is important to have for us just as a board to keep accountable on the plan and the resolution that we had, and also for the community to feel and to see the changes and the updates as we move forward. So.
Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate this resolution, and I think that you're right. It's a great way for us to just continue to stay transparent and be accountable as the process moves forward. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this resolution?
I'm glad to see that we'll be able to be visible and transparent in the process.
Great. Anybody else? No? All right. All those in favor of approving the recommendation for monthly reporting on Resolution 2024-07, Consolidation of Childs in Templeton Elementary Schools as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against or abstentions? The motion carries. Next, for our consideration is the personnel report. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Ashley and seconded by Kathy that we approve the personnel report as presented. Dr. Winston.
Thank you, President Hennessy and members of the school board. There are two non-certified staff retirements to announce this evening. Karen Kuntz is retiring from the Transportation Department as an on-call driver after supporting students and staff at MCCSC since 1999. Eileen Salmon is retiring from Bloomington High School South as a special education aide after engaging students since 2002. Thank you to our retirees for your many years of service to MCCSC. At this time, I request that you please approve the personnel recommendations as presented in the board packet.
Okay.
It is an honor and a privilege to present administrators that have been approved within the personnel report this evening. To kind of give a quick synopsis, we have 8 replacement positions, 1 brand new position, and 1 title change. And I want to highlight those for everyone so everyone understands. Alexis Harmon.
That's better. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's better for people online.
Alexis Harmon will begin in her new role as Interim Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment beginning July 1st. Alexis has been a building and district level administrator at MCCSC, serving in several pivotal roles throughout the corporation as a leader, embodying a commitment to excellence on behalf of students and staff. At this time, Alexis is invited to the podium to address the Board of School Trustees and our community members. Ms. Harmon?
Thank you again, President Hennessy, Dr. Winston, and members of the Board of School Trustees. It's been an honor to be a part of the MCCSC cabinet over the past 2 years. I started my teaching career in MCCSC, and this school community has been foundational to my growth as an educator. My own children are students in MCCSC, and they are inquisitive, kind, and creative due to the education and care they've received here. My family and I are immensely proud to be a part of this community. Thank you so much for the opportunity to support the education, engagement, and empowerment of our students and staff in this new role as the Interim Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment.
Thank you, Alexis. I haven't sat in this seat before. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Jeffrey Henderson. Dr. Henderson will assume his new role as Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Operations on July 1st. Dr. Henderson returns to MCCSC after previously serving as the principal at Bloomington High School North and most recently serving as the principal of Center Grove High School in Greenwood, Indiana. With a proven track record of successful leadership, Dr. Henderson is invited to the podium to address the Board of School Trustees and our community members. Dr. Henderson.
Good evening, President Hennessy, Dr. Winston, and members of the Board of School Trustees. I want to thank you for the opportunity to return to the MCCSC, where I spent 12 wonderful years as principal of Bloomington High School North. Some of my very first hires are in this room this evening and actually being promoted into new positions, so it's a doubly proud moment for me to see them advancing in their careers as well. So. And I also want to thank you for the trust that you're placing in me to serve the students of our community. I'm thrilled to be working alongside Dr. Winston and the rest of the administrative team to support our teachers and support staff as we engage, empower, and educate our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson. Next is Dr. Chris Finley, who needs no new introduction. He has been a principal in our corporation for 18 years and has recently served as the Director of Health and Safety. His is a title change, and he has a new and unique title, which includes school health. It still continues to include school safety, mental health, and strategic partnerships. And we're very excited to have Dr. Finley step into this role to pull together several different areas to help us have a more coordinated approach to the student support services that we will be continuing to provide. So, Dr. Finley, would you like to say a word?
Dr. Winston, President Hennessy, board members, I appreciate the opportunity. I think my title is obscure enough that the subtitle is whatever Dr. Winston needs to have happen. So I'm happy to help in any way that I can in this district. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to serve. So thank you.
So Dr. Finley is our Executive Director of Coordinated School Services and Strategic Partnerships. Now that is a mouthful, but we're very excited and he willingly wanted to move forward with that. Thank you, Dr. Finley. Lily Albright will begin in her new role as Director of Elementary Education beginning July 1st. Lily has been an elementary building administrator and teacher at MCCSC, serving in several school buildings throughout the corporation as a student-centered leader. Most recently, Lily served the corporation as the Director of Adult Education and Alternative Programs. Lily is invited to the podium to address the Board of School Trustees and community members.
Good evening. It is difficult to express the excitement and the gratitude that I'm feeling in this moment. I was hired in the year 2000 as an elementary school principal in MCCSC, and I felt incredibly nurtured by this school corporation professionally. It's been really fun to be on this journey and exciting to be in this moment. So thank you, President Hennessy, Dr. Winston, school board, all of the colleagues that I've had over the past couple of decades who supported me, and certainly my family and friends who've been by my side. It has been my life's work to make sure that elementary schools are places where students and staff thrive, and I'm just over the moon excited to continue that work with this group of leaders. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lily. Eric Gilpin. Eric Gilpin will begin in his new role as Director of Secondary Education beginning July 1st. This is a new position that hasn't been filled for several years, but he assumes many of the responsibilities that I held in my prior position and extended roles and responsibilities, if I might add. Eric has an established career as a secondary leader in MCCSC, serving as both a teacher and building administrator. Eric's commitment to student and staff engagement has been and will continue to be foundational to a successful career. Eric is invited to the podium to address the Board of School Trustees and our community members.
Well, this will be, for 24 years I have started the school year out by walking into Bachelor Middle School. And so this will be a new start for me, and I'm excited about the opportunity that you gave me to be in MCCSC and a bachelor for 24 years and in this new role. I'm excited with the team that I'll be working with. I've had an opportunity to work with many of them in different scenarios, including Mr. Henderson and I taking a trip to China for 8 days and a principal exchange. And Lily and I had an adventure together at Grandview. And so just being able to be in this role, love what Dr. Winston has been doing, and I'm thrilled that you've allowed me to be a part of that and to continue about it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Andrew Cope will begin in his new role as Director of Technology and Communications beginning July 1st. Andrew has served the MCCSC Information Services Department in several roles that are critical to the infrastructure of the organization. Andrew's background in both journalism and technology will continue to add value to the corporation. Andrew is invited to the podium to address the Board of School Trustees and community members. Andrew?
Hello. I'd like to say thank you to Board President Hennessy, Dr. Winston, and members of the School Board of Trustees for entrusting me with this responsibility. I'm honored to have your confidence, and I'm thrilled to be Team MCCSC, working to empower every student every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Gayla McAdams. Is Gayla here? Gayla will begin in her new role as principal of Clear Creek Elementary School. She has served MCCSC as an assistant principal for a number of years at both secondary and elementary schools. Gayla's background in leading teams in the development and implementation of whole child systems of support are a value to the school corporation and Clear Creek Elementary School. We are very excited to have Gayla join our team. Once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Board of School Trustees for their support as we champion our administrators who will serve as educational leaders for the students and staff of our schools. Just to clarify again, we have one new position, one title change, a unique title change to say the least, and 8 positions that have moved around because of a need to replace them. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the wonderful and exciting things that this amazing team is going to do together on behalf of our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Winston, for putting together this amazing cabinet. Are there any comments from the board?
Welcome.
Any other comments? I'll just say, this, sorry, I'm gonna comment because, I just do that. But I want to say, I'm just really, really thrilled and so excited to see what this team is going to do. And it is a full circle moment because Dr. Henderson actually is the person who hired me into the district. So to be able to sign off on this today is one of those really neat moments. And I was hired to fill in for Alexis Harmon in her maternity leave. So there's a lot of full circle stuff happening right here. But I'm just really excited to see what this team will do. And we had an executive board meeting or a work session. No, it wasn't a work session. Excuse me. It was an executive meeting. And we don't really disclose the contents of that. It was a training session. But I will just say that one of the things that I routinely hear from this board about this district is that they are so incredibly complimentary of the administrators and the teachers that we have in this district. Over and over and over again, we hear how amazing our teachers are, right? It's what sets us apart, and our administrative team is the same. We have world-class individuals working for us. You could not find better teachers anywhere, and so I'm just really so proud of this district and the people who have chosen to work for MCCSC and be part of this team. So thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion to approve the personnel report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We will now move to the contracts. Do I have a motion to approve the contracts as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Ashley and seconded by Brandon that we approve the contracts as presented. Mr. Kinney.
Good evening, President Hennessy, Dr. Winston, members of the board. There are 11 contracts to be awarded before you tonight. I recommend approval of the contracts as presented. Thank you.
Do we have any comments from the board on the contracts? Okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve the contracts signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next, for our consideration are the meal prices for 2024-2025. Do I have a motion to approve the meal prices for 2024-2025? Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Kathy and seconded by Ashley that we approve the meal prices for 2024-2025 as presented. Mr. Kenny.
Thank you. Before you tonight are the recommended meal prices for the 24-25 school year. We are recommending approval of the following increases: a 10-cent increase in elementary student lunch prices, a 15-cent increase in middle school student lunch prices, a 5-cent increase in high school meal student lunch prices, a 15-cent increase in adult lunch prices, 25-cent increase in adult breakfast prices. We propose maintaining the current prices for breakfast and all after-school snacks for the third consecutive year. Some background information on meal prices. Federal regulations govern the pricing of all meals and snacks in the USDA Child Nutrition Program. Food Service receives federal and state financial assistance for student meals only. No reimbursement is received for adult meals. Therefore, adult meal prices are required to cover the entire expense of a meal. We have adjusted recipes and aligned the offerings for grades 7 to 12 to ensure they receive the same amount of food. This is more than what is provided for grades K to 6, which explains why the prices for grades 7 to 12 are now standardized and higher than those for grades K to 6. We are pleased to offer free breakfast and lunch to all students at the following schools through our Eligibility in the Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP: Arlington, Bloomington Graduation School, Clear Creek, Fairview, Grandview, Highland Park, and Templeton are all a part of this group. Data and analysis before you tonight are provided by Mr. Matt Tomrell, Director of Food Services. We recommend approval of the meal prices as presented. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any comments from the board? I have one question. How long does the CEP, do we know how long does the CEP last?
I want to say 3 years, 3 more years.
3 more years. Okay, great. Thank you so much. All those in favor of the motion to approve the meal prices for 2024-25 as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We now move to district updates. Dr. Winston, do you have any updates for the board?
I do, thank you. We are so very fortunate to be able to offer an array of summer programs, opportunities, and such for our students. This year, we are having over 3,000 students participating in various programs throughout the corporation. We have our academic program, an academic camp at Fairview that covers grades 1 through 7. And we have approximately 2,000 students who are participating virtually. At the high school level, we have approximately 561 students who are engaging in summer learning. We also offer Camp Connections. That's a summer camp experience for students with significant disabilities and speech and language needs. The camp is presented in partnership with the IU Speech and Hearing Clinic, and we currently have 35 students participating. Hoosier Hills Agricultural Research Capstone is a project-based learning and leadership training. Our students there will coordinate with the teacher to complete a minimum of 80 hours on an approved project, and we have 17 students participating in this summer program. And finally, Primary Jumpstart. We will have approximately 75 students, all rising kindergarten and first grade students. They will attend for 9 days from July 22nd to August 1st at Summit Elementary. During this time, they will get a jump start, hence the catchy name, on being in the school environment and practice beginning literacy and math skills.
All right, thank you. Does the board have any comments or any reports to share?
I have a comment.
Yes.
So I wrote it down because we're closing on one chapter, we're opening another new chapter, and I felt like I needed to write it down to process it. So I'm going to read my statement here for you all. I wanted to reflect on and celebrate all the things that we accomplished under the leadership of Dr. Housewell. I'm sorry he can't be here to share this and hear this, but I'm sure he knows that many of us are very grateful for his work and his vision. When we conducted our superintendent search 3 years ago, I was board president, and we were in the middle of COVID and chaos. Most of the members of that board are not here now, with the exception of Brandon and April, who had just been elected and was present for some of our interviews and executive sessions. Our consultants created a profile of what kind of leader Monroe County was looking for. After online focus groups, interviews, community conversations, and over 1,000 individual community members that participated in the various activities or engagement strategies of the search. And in those conversations, themes emerged on the need for a leader who would help the board address socioeconomic segregation and the subsequent concentration of resources, the need for a leader who would address disproportionate discipline consequences for students in our schools, and for someone who was student-centered, approachable, and present. From the beginning, the level of enthusiasm, energy, and expertise that emanated from Dr. Hauswald was heartening. He was a bright light at a very dark time here. He came to our district ready to do the work. He spent untold hours traveling down from Kokomo on his personal time over the months prior to his start date to listen to the community, the families, the teachers, the staff, and most importantly, the students. He asked for a demographic representation of the individual schools, and he set about asking folks 3 questions: what they loved about their schools, what they thought needed changing, and what advice they had for him as he began. Dr. Hauswald then went to work developing relationships with us as board members and asking us the same things. And from all the information and data that he gathered, and he helped the board create a strategic plan which was centered on equity. Through this process, we learned how things that we care about as board members, combined with those of the community, could give direction to the school district in an intentional way. The COVID protocols and committee meetings that then in place and often shifting occupied much of Dr. Hauswald's time and team's time during the first year or more of his tenure here. Following our local COVID plan and procedures that were put in place before he arrived, and following federal and state guidance, he safely led us through those changes to student learning environments at a time when it felt like the world was on fire. Anxiety was incredibly high, and so many of us were very divided about how to enter into a new normal. Our students and teachers, our families and administrators were exhausted and scarred from the pandemic. But we did emerge, and a new normal began to develop as more students returned to school, and we were able to meet their needs with the strategic plan in place. Something that had to be immediately addressed by Dr. Hauswald was the bus crisis. When so many students returned to school in person and the Great Resignation had occurred nationwide, leaving most communities with a shortage of bus drivers, we had a huge mess on our hands. Dr. Hauswald, and always when I point to him, I acknowledge that this work was only able to occur because of the team of professionals and the incredible staff, administrators, and teachers who under his leadership were able to accomplish so much for our students. He set to work to overhaul our transportation system. Using a 4-tier system of routes, we were able to match the number of drivers to the number of buses in order to get students to school on time. One of the leadership traits that was voiced by the community when we were looking for a superintendent was that we find someone who could lead us through the next referendum, who understood school finance and who would be a good steward of our tax dollars. Dr. Hauswald led us through 2 successful referendum campaigns. Working closely with the community, our 2022 referendum was not only a continued funding of important programs, including our libraries and extracurriculars, but with the additional funds raised from that referendum, our teachers and uncertified staff received a historic pay raise. Starting teachers' pay went from $40,000 to over $57,000. In an era of teacher shortages, we're an even more competitive and desirable school district in which to work. With teacher salaries and hourly wages increased dramatically, much of our staffing difficulties were alleviated. In addition, the first referendum in 2022 funded more special education, STEM, and the arts, as well as mental health initiatives. Recognizing the role of the state legislature in underfunding our public schools, Dr. Hauswald supported our teachers when they went to the State House during the budget session of 2023 to advocate for themselves and to advocate for the funding of resources that our students deserve. Thanks also to the vision and leadership of Dr. Hauswald and the incredible generosity of our community, we passed a second referendum last fall that focused on families. One of the most important things we could ever do for educational equity as a community, if not the most important, is to ensure access to preschool, particularly for those struggling with the effects of poverty. Our 2023 referendum created one of the state's first comprehensive early childhood programs where all students have access to 1 year of preschool and students in poverty have access to 2 free years of early childhood education. This access and opportunity will create a generation of students who now have a chance to come to kindergarten ready to learn. In addition, the referendum eliminated the cost of school supplies and dual credit and testing fees, which alleviates some of the not-so-hidden costs of educational opportunity in Indiana, costs that weigh heavier on our families in poverty. Under Dr. Hauswald's leadership and our strategic plan, we have tracked the growth and learning of our students, paying special attention to those students who traditionally might fall through the cracks. We've seen ALPS move to the more centrally located Fairview, where more children from the community can access the program for higher ability learning. We've seen the study and implementation of discipline practices that work to ensure that our priority populations are not disproportionately disciplined compared to their more affluent and privileged peers. The data-led improvements meant that we are also tracking the progress in diversifying our teaching staff. Dr. Hauswald guided us in implementing a Grow Your Own teacher certification program that allowed us to help identified staff get the education to be teachers. We as a board have even had the privilege of approving an anti-racism policy for the district that was student-led and student-created in cooperation with our amazing administration and consultants. We're in the process of making one for the LGBTQIA+ community as well, and while this was certainly led by students and is their incredible accomplishment, I know from experience that without supportive leadership, work like this doesn't happen. Progress has been made toward creating a school system that is welcoming to all, centered on our students. In an environment of learners, we have had a lot of professional development. Dr. Hauswald also supported us as a board to attend conferences, to learn about our roles and the possibilities for a greater school district focused on all children. He was present in the buildings, and he made a point of engaging with students. He told us when we hired him that he liked to have regular interaction with students so that he would never lose sight of why he's here. My son and his friends saw him pop into their classes in their high school. One of my son's friends happily reported to me that he and several other students had lunch with the superintendent. He related to me that the superintendent asked them each questions and listened carefully, even taking down notes and ideas from the students to use for improving the district. Dr. Hauswald made that a regular practice. I'm grateful, and I know there are many who join me, for Dr. Hauswald's incredible vision, energy, and work these past 3 years, which has helped us move the needle on educational equity. I felt it was important to highlight this work, as so much of this has not made the newspaper or social media in the positive light that it deserves. And now we start a new chapter. We have the opportunity, not only as a school system and a board, but as a community, to build on all these successes and all of this work that has begun. We have an incredible leader in Dr. Winston, who has been here doing this work and who knows the community. She started in MCCSC when I started as a board member 8 years ago. She knows where we've been, she knows where we are, and she understands where we want to go. It is a tough, tough time to be a leader. And I encourage all of us to lean in and help, to listen, to have the grace to believe the best in people, to have the humility to say, I don't know what I don't know. And as we all learn from our mistakes, allow others to learn from theirs. Let us ask each other how we can better support one another, our leaders, and all the people who make up this proverbial village, raising, teaching, caring for all of our children. Speak your gratitude. We're very, very quick to criticize, to believe the worst, but we're not as quick to tell people what we appreciate and what we like and how we appreciate our leaders, from our teachers, our bus drivers, and everyone who makes up this school system. Our students depend on us to continue this work. I am thankful for all the good that has occurred in the last 3 years, and I am really excited and eager to see us continue to make MCCSC a wonderful place with this team, with this leader, with this board, and a wonderful place to learn, to teach, and to work in Indiana.
Thank you so much for your leadership in writing that, Kathy. Any other comments from the board? Okay. Finally, Dr. Winston, do you have any additional information to share tonight?
I do. I really want to extend a heartfelt thank you and appreciation for the service that we've received from Dr. Erin Stahlbaum in her capacity as Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Professional Learning. She had a Herculean job. She schooled me tonight on presenting the personnel report for the first time, but beyond that, she's just been an amazing colleague, confidant, and friend, and I just want to say thank you to Dr. Stahlbaum. Similarly, I'd like to extend my great gratitude and appreciation for Dr. Dorothea Irwin. She functioned as interim assistant superintendent for elementary education, and to be able to learn from her and to have an opportunity to partner alongside her on numerous initiatives on behalf of our children. I think we all grew and learned so much from her leadership and her support and just the wealth of knowledge that she brings to the table each and every day. So I want to certainly say thank you to Dr. Irwin. And finally, but certainly not least, Dr. Hoswald. I personally appreciate so much about Dr. Hoswald for his leadership, his support, his mentoring, and his trust in me to serve as his deputy. It was truly an honor and a privilege to be able to do so. And I stand on his shoulders and many other shoulders as I step into this new role for which I've been entrusted. And so I just want to say thank you to each of them for their leadership, their tireless commitment, and the supports that they've provided to this corporation. And my final comment is just a reminder that MCCSC will be closed on Thursday, July 4th for Independence Day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Winston. We do look forward to your leadership, which officially will begin next week. And yes, the next regularly scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, July 23rd. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you. Okay, that was short. It's a low-key summer meeting. Oh gosh, it's still